It's cold outside. I saw somebody.
Yeah, they did something.
We're gonna work on it. Okay. Uh-huh. Oh, is it? Even the camera is there? The camera is there already? Yeah, there's Pastor's daughter. Can I invite everybody to sit down? We are about to start our our talk.
我们即将开始我们的这个健康讲座，所以请大家就位哈，请大家留下来听我们的健
Yeah,
康
we'd
讲
like
座
to。invite you to sit down for an hour.
我们差不多60分钟的时间啊，这个希望大家能够一起来参与今天的健康讲座。
So let me ask the first questions. Do you have a good dinner?
好，第一个问题是我
Was
们
it good?
的晚餐还吃得好吧？
Yeah,
好。
very good.
非常好，非常好。好，大家坐下，我们开始我们的讲座啦。
I know we have a lot of aunties and moms and sisters all in the kitchen. So we would love for you to come and take a seat, relax.
好，我们吃过了丰富的晚餐呢，现在我们轻松一下，来听这个健康讲座。
Okay, very, very good.
好，谢谢大家。
Those of, I know there are still people in the kitchen. Would you like to come over to the room and take a seat?
好，那些我们的姐妹们在我们厨房的你们弄好了就请你们一起来听吧。
All right, and then those who are in the church also.
那些还在大堂里的，如果你们愿意的话，也可以来参加我们的这个健康讲座。
All right.
好。
So, good evening. Thank you for making time.
大家晚安，谢谢你们抽空来参加今天的讲座。
My name is Yen. I know some of you know me, some of you may not know me.
我名字叫
But I would
苏燕。
love to, talk to you after the talk. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to hang around and answer some of your questions if you don't get to answer during my presentation. Okay?
我名字叫苏燕呢，在今天讲座之后，如果还有一些问题还没有解答的，我会留下来，你们可以继续的来问我哦。
So I also like to welcome those of you who are attending the talk online. So I wish you a very good evening and hope you enjoy the presentation.
也欢迎那些在线上参加我们今天晚上讲座的朋友们， 也祝你们一个晚安。
All right, first questions. I'm just curious. How many of you attended my health talk before? Like last year, I think, really. Oh, many of you. Oh,
你们
just 2, 3?
4, 5.
Oh, fine,
那么
okay.
在座有一些参加过我的健康讲座的吗？去年我们有举行一系列的
All
讲座。
right. So how many of you are here first time?
那么第一次来参加
Okay, good,
的请举
good.
手，谢谢，欢迎
All
你们。
right, good. So, even if you have attended my talk, that was maybe a year and a half ago. I promise you the information might sound familiar to you, but it's always good to refresh your mind and to hear it in a different context, okay?
虽然18个月前呢，你们也参加过同样的一系列的讲座呢，那个信息呢是有点相似，也是新资料，但是呢，我们再重新的去再回顾呢，是非常好的一件事。
So this is the second part of the 6-part series, and the whole theme is about reconnection. We want to reconnect ourselves to our health, to our Creator who created us, to our family, our loved ones, and also to our community. That's the theme of this 6-part series.
那今年呢，教会的这个一系列的这个健康讲座呢，是讲到那个主题是联系，重新联系我们跟上帝的关系啦，联系我们跟人与人之间的关系啦，联系我们自己跟自己的健康的关系。
So it's very important that if you're not healthy, if you're sick, it's very hard for you to have a good relationship with God, right? If you're sick, because it affects your mind, it affects your mood, it affects the way you understand stuff. So taking care of yourself is very, very fundamental and very, very crucial.
那我们个人的健康呢，也是跟我们跟上帝的关系也有相关的。为什么呢？因为如果我们身体很多病痛的话呢，会影响到我们跟上帝的来往，上帝的互动。
So likewise, if you're always in pain, it's very hard for you to love and care for your family, your children, your spouse, and people that you care about, right? So you have to take care of it. We all have to take care of our health first.
同样的，如果我们个人的健康欠佳的话呢，我们就没有功夫或者没有这个力气，跟我们家里的人呢来互动，来去爱护他们。所以健康呢，对我们来说是很重要。
So this evening, the focus is on recharging our body, which is our physical health, with nutrients that are evidence-based, that I know that are truly good for your health, and a lot of information that I'll share with you. In fact, all the information I will share with you are all evidence-based, rather than what you might hear on internet, on Google or TikTok, okay?
今天晚上呢，我们要重新联系什么呢？就是重新联系我们与健康。就经过吃良好的食物、有营养的食物。那今天的讲座呢，是根据有科学化的，根据很多的研究，我们很多时候从那个电脑啊、互联网上看到的资料呢，不一定是正确的。
Right. So there's just too much information out there right now, right? It's just too much information. You literally don't have to go to school to be an expert in health and nutrition, right? You can learn almost anything.
因为今天呢，这个媒体方面，比如说我们的那个 TikTok 啊之类的媒体，社交媒体呢，是非常容易得到很多的消息，似乎每个人都可以成为专家。
Yeah.
那也不用去上课了，这样子。但是
So hopefully the next 45 minutes or so, I will be able to bring you some enlightenment, some insight into some simple but enduring health principles, things that you can actually use it and help yourself to be healthy.
所以今天晚上呢，我们是经过这个科学化的一个讲座呢，希望把资料介绍给大家，一些比较简单、很基本的这个健康法呢，让我们能够受益。
So whatever I say to you, I'm going to ask you to put aside what you already learned, you might have learned or heard on TikTok, internet, YouTube. Put them aside and just have a very open-minded and listen to me, okay?
所以今天晚上呢，我们把你以前在 YouTube 啊、TikTok 啦，或者其他的媒体上看到的一些广泛的一些资料，先放在一旁，以一个比较开通的思想来接受、来领受今天晚上所要分享的资
So
料。
what we want to talk about is what sort of diet, what sort of food or classes of food that you should eat on a daily basis, if not more frequent basis, if not daily, that is good for not just your health, but good for you to live longevity, as well as prevent diseases. But if you have already disease, what sort of food that you can eat that can help you manage disease, which is healing process? And lastly, food that can impact on your mental health, because there's certain food that actually doesn't make you happy. So happiness right here is also very important, right?
所以今天晚上我们要看看怎么样的饮食能够帮助我们能够长寿，能够帮助我们不会得到那些疾病或者是已经有一些病痛的，我们有什么食物可以帮助我们医治治疗？然后呢，最重要的就是什么食物能够使我们快乐。
Yeah, so it's no point if I ask you to eat food and you're not happy, you're not going to eat it for too much time, right? Too long. You probably eat once and then you give up. And that's not the kind of food I want to recommend to you, correct?
这个原则就是说，我们吃我们要吃得开心。如果吃得不开心的话呢，虽然对我们好，我们可能不能够持久的去。
So were you happy with the food just now?
所以说刚才我们吃的食物，你们吃得开心吗？
有没有开心？吃得开心吗？ Yeah, good.
好。
And in fact, when I saw the food just now, I was so happy because I saw a lot of green vegetables. And they are not all salad, they are cooked with good oil and is very tasty and flavored very well.
所以刚才我看我们吃的那些食物，我就觉得这是好的食物，而且是吃得开心的食物。为什么呢？各种的蔬菜用不同的这个调味来烹饪出来。
But first of all, I want to draw your attentions to a book that never grow old. A book that will always be applicable, whether you're old, young, whether you live in 2024 or you live in 1800. This is a book called the Bible.
那首先呢，我要介绍给大家一本书。这本书呢是万年青的，就是说什么时候都能够用的。不管你是在20世纪或者18世纪。 这本书呢，都是真正的，都是好的书。
So we want to go back to
就是圣经。
We want to go back to our Creator who gave us life, right? He created our body.
因为为什么呢？
He knows what we need best to be healthy and happy. So we want to go back to Him and ask, what is your original diet that you have given to us?
所以我们要回到圣经呢，因为圣经告诉我们，上帝创造天地、创造万物呢，是我们的创造主。 所以我们如果向他询问说，到底什么食物是给我们最好的呢？他应该会有一个答案。
So everything I said from now on, I want you to always go back to the Bible and check what I say against the Bible, okay? If what I say is not in line with the Bible, then I am a liar. You should not listen to me. And it's the same principle I want you to use when you hear any health talk, any nutrition information on TikTok or YouTube, okay? Use the Bible as your guide.
那么今天呢，我要你们把听到我所讲的呢，要跟圣经对正。如果圣经是符合圣经的话呢，那你就肯定这是对的，朝向对的方向。那么这也就是说，如果你在互联网上或者 TikTok 或者 YouTube 上所看到的资料呢，也可以问自己一个问题：说这些资料跟圣经的道理、圣经的教导有没有符合？如果有符合呢，那就是可能是对的；但是如果不符合的话，你就知道呢，那些资料不一定是对的。
Let's look at the first time when God gave the instruction about what to eat and what to eat, basically the diet. The first time when God mentioned about it was Genesis 1:29.
所以在创世纪第1章29到30节呢，第一次圣经里面就提到上帝给人的食物是什么食物。
So I'm going to read the entire 2 verses and then you hear the translation. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth and every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds in the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has the breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so.
29节，圣经神说：“看哪，我将遍地上一切结种子的菜蔬和一切树上所结有喝的果子， 全赐给你们做食物。第30节说，至于地上的走兽和空中的飞鸟，并各样爬在地上有生命的物，我将青草使它们做食物，事就这样成了。
So what sort of food did the Creator give to His creation, man and woman?
所以当上帝创造人的时候，男人女人的时候，他把什么食物给我们呢？
Fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, nuts, and seeds, right? You
蔬
agree?
菜、水果，有喝的那个豆类啊，还有这个有喝的果汁。
Right? So these are the so-called food that can be found in the plant kingdom.
所以呢，总结来说呢，这些食物呢，都是从植物来的，从植物的这个来的。
So if you read the Bible, this is the only 2 verses, the only time God gave instruction about diet after He created Adam and Eve. And He said, fruits, vegetables, grains, beans, and seeds are all you need.
所以这个圣经呢，《创世纪》里面，上帝第一次吩咐人要吃什么的时候，他说：“你们要吃水果、菜蔬，还有那些谷类，还有那些豆类，还有那些硬果，还
Let
有
me
种
tell you
子。”
something. God seldom changes His mind. Seldom.
圣经告诉我们说，上帝不改变的。
Yeah. He does change His mind, you know, when what is this? Moses pleaded, right?
偶
For him to
尔
spare.
有1-2次，上帝改变他的初衷啊，但是那个是因为有人向他求情。
Yeah. But most of the time, 99.9%, God never changes His mind. So this principle, remember, food in the plant kingdom is all we need, not just for growth, for health, also for disease prevention, for longevity, and for happiness.
所以我们知道一个原则，就是上帝给我们吃的这些好的食物呢，是给我们长寿，使我们健康，使我们康复，使我们快乐。
So the only time God allowed or so-called human to eat meat is when after the flood, right? We all know that.
我们
So
知道
remember.
从历史上，圣经里告诉我们呢，人开始吃肉类呢，是因为洪水之后啊，上帝允许他们吃那个动物的肉。
And if you look at human history, you would definitely notice that right after the flood, the human lifespan significantly dropped. Adam and Eve and his direct offspring, they were all living to 800-900 years. But right after the Noah's flood, people's lifespan went down to about 120-150.
那么在洪水之前呢，那些人的寿命很长，有500、600、700、800岁的都有。但是洪水之后呢，这个人的寿命就短到100，最高是120、120多岁，这是最长寿了。
So something happened, right? And that has to do with the diet.
那么这洪水之前、洪水之后最大的改变是什么？就是人的食物啊，人类的食物就有了很大的改变。
So we know for sure the Bible tells us the plant-based diet is best.
所以圣经告诉我们呢，这个菜蔬的那种素食啊，是最好的一种食物。
You see, in English we call it plant-based. I did not say it's vegetarian. I said it's plant-based. Maybe it's predominantly plant, right? It's the best. If you can be vegetarian, that is the most ideal.
当然呢，在英文里面呢，所谓素食呢，它是说吃蔬菜、水果之类啊，
最多的哈。
最多。
Okay. So
不一
since
定
we're
要全
all
素啊，不一定全素。
Since we're all in America, right, we all need to know what the American government tells us and the power that he has on our day-to-day lives.
那我们住在美国呢，美国政府很喜欢给很多生活指南，这个指南、那个指南、健康指南、食物指南。
So you may or may not understand, but your children who go to school are impacted directly by the government dietary guidelines.
虽然你们可能自己都不知道，如果有小孩子上学的，在学校里啊，他们所吃的食物呢，跟这个政府所发出的这个饮食指南，有
Not
很
only that, if
大的影响。
if your grandpa, grandma, grandparents, if your parents go to a nursing facility, or if you're sick in a hospital, you need food, hospital food, then you will experience the direct impact of the dietary guidelines for Americans.
这个饮食的指南呐，不只是在学校。如果你们的家里有一些长者住在老人院的话，他们每次的时候也是跟着这个政府的指南。如果你生病到医院去住医院的时候呢，他每餐给你吃的也跟着这个所谓的饮食指南。
Or if you visit a doctor, the doctor asks you to go see a dietitians. The dietitians will also tell you based on the dietary guidelines for Americans.
如果你去看医生，医生说哦，你需要去找一个饮食家来辅导你。那饮食专家所用的指南，也就是政府给
Because
他的指南。
everybody in America, as long as you receive some funding from the government, a lot of us, you know the dietary guideline will affect your lives.
也就是说呢，政府的这个饮食的指南呢，在我们生活的范围里面，很多环节都跟它有关系。
And not only that, because of the dietary guidelines tell you certain food you have to eat more or less, it also impact on funding for farmers.
那你们要知道啊，这个所谓食物饮食的指南，不只是说这个餐桌上的食物有关系，这个指南呢有关系到他们的预算案，就是预算怎么样赞助那些农夫的预算案。
So remember, it impacts on funding, and the funding will impact on you and I as consumer. When we go to grocery store and buy food, we will realize, we will discover right away, if you have not, certain food are more expensive than others.
所以在美国呢，有些食物便宜，有些食物比较贵呢，这是因为政府的预算案里面津贴某一种那个农夫或者是哪一种行业，他们所津贴的食物啊，我们买的时候就比较便宜。
So we just established the fact that one thing never changed, and God's diet law, right? We say God never changes His mind, including His diet law, and we say that God's diet law is that we all eat a plant-based diet or be a vegetarian, right?
所以刚才说了，上帝给我们的这个饮食是什么呢？指南呢是什么？上帝的饮食指南就是吃菜蔬、吃水果、吃谷类、吃豆类、吃果汁。
But if you are not familiar with this, tonight I'm introducing to this because your children are impacted by this on a daily basis. If you look at this government diet guideline, what do you see?
但是呢，你如果看这个图案上看到的呢，这个就是美国政府发出来的饮食指南，就是你们孩子们在学校午餐吃的就是这个东西。
It's based on this. Now, when we looked at this, certain things are in line with what we just always say, a quarter, half. You remember my workshop last year, which is beautiful. You have fruits and vegetables, half, and if you have grain, 1/4, your protein, 1/4, which is good, right? This is evidence-based, and this is in line with the Bible principle.
那么这一盘里面的指南告诉我们说，1/4吃水果，1/4蔬菜、菜蔬，1/4谷类，1/4是蛋白质。
But wait a minute, something else is in the picture. What is that?
但是你看那个左上角上面有另外一个圆圈，那个是什么 ？Dairy 就是奶制品。
Now, some of you may or may not know, but if you have a child from K2, K1, or kindergarten all the way to 12, right? And if you are in a public school, I know some of us are very lucky. We're in Adventist school, so we're kind of living in our own bubble. But if your kids are in government, public school,
那你们如果孩子从幼儿园一直到12年级，在政府的学校，就是这公立学校的话
you will find that every lunchtime or breakfast, every child must be given a box of milk, cow's milk.
那么你们就会知道或注意到呢，早餐或午餐呢，小朋友们都会得到那个1瓶的牛奶。
And if you don't drink, you don't get anything. And if you ask for soy milk, no, the school will say no.
如果他给你牛奶，你说我不要牛奶，我要豆奶。他说没有豆奶。
And if your parent or grandparent goes to nursing facility, they will also be given milk. And if they ask for almond milk or soy milk, they will be also turned away.
那么同样的，如果我们去了一个老人院或者老人之家，那边呢，如果是公立的，他也给你牛奶，你说我不要牛奶，我要豆奶，
So
我
if
要
you're sick in the hospital,
杏仁奶，他说没有。
if you're sick in the hospital, the dietitians will make sure that you have some dairy on the food that they give to you, whether it's a form of cow's milk or cheese or yogurt. There has to be some dairy there.
所以如果在医院也是一样，在医院里面，他给你食物的时候，一定会有一些牛奶或者奶制品，或者是奶酸、酸奶之类的东西，或者乳酪。
And you also find that cow's milk are the cheapest milk of all compared to soy milk or almond milk, right?
那么你们也会注意到呢，牛奶会比豆奶或者其他的植物的奶呢更便宜，来得便宜。
Now, because the dietary guidelines say every child, from 2 years old to however old you are, you have to drink 3 glasses of milk a day in order to be healthy and prevent diseases.
在政府的这个饮食指南里面说呢，你如果从2岁开始到年老，你每天要喝3杯奶才算健康。
And if you don't have 3 glasses of milk, your diet quality is very low. They call it low quality.
如果你没喝这个奶的话呢，你的这个食物的所谓的品质呢，就属于是比较差的这个食物品质。
So remember I say every diet advice you will ever hear from now on, you will always have to go back and check with the Bible, right?
所以我们说呢，我们要这些指南，不管是谁给我们的，我们跟圣经来对证一下，来比一比。
And we know this is not true because the Bible God never tells us we have to drink someone's milk, cow's milk.
因为圣经呢没有说到人要喝牛奶。
Right? The only species that drink milk is a baby. They drink their own mother's milk. So a human will drink the mommy's human. A cow will drink their mommy's cow. The goat will eat the mommy's goat. Nobody drink another species milk except human.
所以也就是说呢，在这个自然界里面呢，小牛喝母牛的奶，小羊喝母羊的奶，小孩喝妈妈的奶，但是只有人类喝牛奶。
And who is asking us to eat someone's species milk? The government.
那为什么会弄到说我们人去喝牛奶呢？现在呢，变成是政府的一个饮食指南里面说你们要这样做。
So think about it. It doesn't take a genius to find out something is wrong, right? You don't have to be a dietitian to know something is wrong.
所以这样子来说呢，我们就发现到呢，你不需要是一个饮食专家，你可以从那个逻辑上来想，这个不大合逻辑。
And for your information, the U.S. government spends close to 1 billion with a B. Every year, they fund the dairy industry up to $1 billion.
原来在美国的这个国家的预算案里面，每年美国政府呢赞助或者是津贴那个养牧牛场呢10亿美金。
And Chino here is a dairy farm, right? You walk right, it's a lot of dairy.
我们在 Chino 这一带，你如果是开车走一走，很多这个牧场，很多牛场。
Okay, to be fair, I'm a dietitian. So I'm going to tell you frankly and honestly, cow's milk is very nutritious.
身为一个
I'm a dietitian, I have
饮食专家呢，我能够很坦诚告诉你，牛奶很有这个营养，是真的。
But do I need it to have optimal health? Do I need it to prevent diabetes and hypertension? Do I need it to prevent osteoporosis?
但是呢，话说回来，虽然它很有营养，但是我们需要喝牛奶才能够给我们健康吗？才能够预防我们得到甜尿病吗？之类。
Because the Bible doesn't tell me that I need to eat animal product to be healthy and to enjoy long life,
记
right?
得吗？圣经告诉我们，原先的那个饮食的指南是不吃动物的来的这个食物，而是吃那个蔬菜、水果这一类的食物。
So I'm going to come back to this at a later stage, but right now I'm going to tell you that you just ignore U.S. government and only listen to God. Can we do that?
所以今天晚上呢，我们就说我们不要听那个政府给我们的这个饮食指南，我们来听听上帝怎么说
Okay?
吧。
So I want you to go back and tell your children they don't have to listen to U.S. government. They listen to God.
Then what do they drink? They cannot get the milk.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what happened in my presentation in a while.
所以你回去可以告诉孩子们说，孩子啊，我们要听上帝的饮食指南。
So there are 3 principles. I'm going to distill it down to 3 very simple principles about how to eat healthily, okay? And this principle, I call it they are everlasting. They cut through cultures, cut through the ages.
所以呢，今天要给你们3个原则，这3个原则很容易记起来，而且呢，在不管你什么文化，你都能够用这3个原则。
So remember only 3, right? I want you to remember. I'm glad the last time when I spoke to you about quarter, half. A lot of you remember. So this time we're going to tell only 3 everlasting principles about healthy eating.
所以呢，希望你们记得这3个原则，就像上次我告诉你们说，quarter half 就是1/4、一半。那个同样的原则，但是那个是什么？你可以给我们一个简单的重复一下。
Quarter half means if you have a plate, you fill 1/2 with vegetables. That's half. 1/4 with your grain. Your grain could be your rice, or your mashed potato, your pasta, your noodle, and then the other quarter is your protein. So that's how you eat. Quarter half.
那个刚才所讲的那个 quarter half 呢，就是1/4、一半呢，就是说我们吃饭的时候，我们吃东西的时候呢，一半要是蔬菜菜蔬，然后1/4呢是谷类，比如说米啊，或者是大麦之类，然后呢1/4是我们的蛋白质所以那个是个很简单的原则。
So the 3 principles that I want to highlight tonight is number 1, always remember plant. The kingdom, any food that comes from plant is the best. That's all you need.
好，今天呢，给你们3个简单健康饮食原则。第一个就是，如果有这个植物从植物来的食物呢，是最好的。
Okay, if the thing can move, you know it's not from plant because plant doesn't move, right? It's dead, right? I mean, they move only when the wind blow them, right? But they don't move; they don't have legs. So remember, it's anything that from the plant kingdom is good for your health. You can eat them.
也就是说，那个不会自己跑动的没有母亲的那个，我们就可以吃它；有妈妈的，我们就要考虑一下要不要吃它。
The second one is very important. You have to eat a variety of food. There's no one food we call it superfood or miracle food. No.
第二个原则呢，就是我们要吃多样化的这个食物，不要单吃一种。不要说我喜欢这个是特别神奇的食物，我一定要吃它。
There are many food. They are healthy. They have their own unique set of nutrient, but you have to eat it in combination with other food to get the best.
虽然有些食物是特别有营养的，但是你不要单单吃它，你要跟其他的东西一起吃，这样子呢，就会吃多一点多样化的食物。
For instance, I always get the questions: strawberry is so good. Should I eat it? I say, yeah, strawberry is good. Eat them if you like it, but don't just eat strawberries. However much nutrient it has, you must eat other kind of fruits.
有些人说草莓非常好，我就单吃草莓，不吃其他的东西，不可以的草莓是好，你要吃可以吃，但是也要吃其他的水果。
Okay, the third principle is the less processed, the better. Okay, because when you process the food, you lose a lot of nutrients. So the less processed, the better.
第3个原则就是这个食物越没有加工的越好，越天然的越好。
Okay, you understand when I continue, all right?
好，我们继续下去，你就更加清楚了。
If you don't remember anything, this slide I want you to remember because I want you to be proud of your own traditional food. If you're Chinese, I want you to be proud of the Chinese food. If you are Hispanic, you need to be proud of your Hispanic inspired food. Anything in your traditional food is always better than the typical American diet.
一个原则就是你们要对自己的文化感到自豪。如果我们是中国人，我们中国的传统食物是最好的。如果你是西班牙人，西班牙的传统食物是最好的。
So when I say traditional means most cultures that I know of, right? Whether you are from Mexico or from China or from Philippines. Most of the traditional, in fact, 99% of the traditional historically, they are very, very much plant-based.
那么不管你的文化是中华文化，或者是菲律宾文化，或者是西班牙文化，或者墨西哥文化呢，很多传统的食物啊都是很健全的。
And number two, most of them are eating whole food because they don't have money to buy potato chips and cookies, right? It's very whole food. They get from the farm, they bring back and they cook, right?
那
And they
很
eat
多
it.
传统的食物呢，都是没加工，都是很自然的。
Right? They may put their seasoning, their herbs, but it's still very much whole food. It's less processed.
所以呢，很多传统的食物呢，都不是人工，不是人造，或者是加工的，是自然的。
And because they are from the plant kingdom, which I'll explain a little bit more, the fat that they get are very, very good fat. Good for your brain, good for your heart, good for even for your happiness. It's good fat.
如果从植物那边得到的一个就是油脂肪也好，都是比较好的。
So they are
对
low
我们
in
的
bad fat. I call it
健康
low.
对我们的这个头脑呢，都有好，因为它是比较好的脂肪。
But if you look at a typical American diet, whether it's hamburger or French fry or pizza, that is the typical American diet, right? Or you go to Olive Garden, you look at their pasta full of cheese and cream. These are very much animal-based.
那么，当我们看美国人通常吃的食物呢，饮食呢，我们就发现到几个问题。第一个就是他们都是吃肉的，用肉类的，不然的话就是乳酪啦这一些东西。
And number two, they're highly, highly processed. Think of chips. Think about the French fries. These are very highly processed.
那么第二呢，就是很多加工，特别加工的，就加了很多的工就是了。
Okay, and they are very high in very bad fat that is going to clog out your arteries.
然后所用的油呢，那脂肪都是不好的，对我们的身体，对我们的这血管都不是很好的。
So when I came to America 20 over years ago, I was a dietitian. I went to school to go back and take nutrition. I learned very quickly that the Chinese traditional diet is under attack.
当我20多年前呢，我去到学校去读这个营养学的时候，就发现到呢，这个我们中国人的这个传统的食物啊，被人家攻击。
Yeah,
说不好。
not just in school, in curriculum, education, but in the mass media, everywhere is Chinese traditional food are under attack on two areas.
所以呢，我就发现到呢，不单在学校这个学术方面，连在媒体，他们也一直攻击我们中国人的食物。
And number one, they say Chinese eat rice. Rice is bad. It's fattening. You should stop eating rice.
当做一个传说，就是说不要吃白米饭，那个米饭吃了会胖。
And too much rice will lead to diabetes.
然后吃太多白米饭呢，会得到糖尿病。
And number two, tofu is bad for you. You shouldn't because tofu will lead you to have to get breast cancer.
那么另外一些报道说，你豆腐不好吃豆腐，吃豆腐多了会得到什么 breast cancer 哈？
Yeah.
乳癌会得到乳癌。
And number three, Chinese, you don't drink enough milk. If you don't do that, you're going to break your bones.
那么我们中国人很少喝那个奶制品、乳制品，他们说这样子的话，我们的骨骼不是很
You're
强
not
壮，
getting enough calcium.
我们不那个钙质啦，我们的骨头会容易就是断。
If you don't get enough calcium, you will increase the risk of heart disease and so many other diseases.
他们说你不够钙质的话呢，会有很多其他的病，比如心脏病等等等等。
Let me tell you quickly. Eating white rice will not lead you to diabetes.
但是呢
Remember that.
我现在可以告诉你呢，吃白饭不会导致一个人得到糖尿病。
If eating white rice leads you to diabetes, then the Chinese people in China will have the highest diabetes rate in the world, right? Because the Chinese eat a lot of rice.
如果吃白米饭会得到糖尿病，那么我们中国人口这么多，应该糖尿病的人比其他国家都多了。
But do you know the Chinese people in China, they don't, or Chinese like us who live in our homeland, whether it's Hong Kong, Taiwan, or Southeast Asia, we don't get diabetes until we come to America and start to eat American food.
但是我可以告诉你，我们中国人不管是从马来西亚、新加坡、中国或者台湾或者香港呢，在我们本国没有得到糖尿病，很多来到了美国呢就得到糖尿病。
Because the number one factor that lead anyone to get diabetes is obesity.
为什么呢？因为
Okay,
糖尿
remember
病的这个病因啊，第一个是什么？是我们身体
肥胖
过重，
Yeah.
肥胖。
肥胖 is the number one risk factor for diabetes. And you don't get obese just by eating white rice. No.
那我们知道呢，一个人超重不是因为吃白米饭吃太多，不是这个原因。
You get overweight, you eat more than you supposed to, and you tend to eat more when you eat processed food, such as chips, cookies, pizza.
那么为什么我们身体会加重呢？是因为我们所吃的卡路里多过我们应用的热量。那么当我们吃人工加工的食物的时候呢，我们会
We tend to eat more.
我们会吃太多，为什么
Right.
因为我们吃下去还不饱，所以
Right.
再吃多一点。
All this highly processed food, whether it's hot dog or bread, cookies, we tend to eat more, and that's how we get diabetes. We become obese and fat, we get diabetes. That's the number one risk factor.
所以呢，很多加工了的食物啊，不管是饼干或者是 hot dog， 我们吃的时候呢，我们会吃太多，为什么呢？因为我们吃下去的还不饱，但是呢，吃下去的这个卡路里呢，就使我们的体重
So
就增
tonight,
加
I
了。
want to assure you, eating white rice and tofu will not lead you to diabetes, will not lead you to obesity, and will not make you break your bone.
所以呢，今天我要告诉大家一个原则啊，一个科学化的原则，就是说，吃白米饭不会使我们超重，也不会使我们得糖尿病；吃豆腐也不会使我们得到这个乳癌。
You know why? Because when we eat rice, we don't just eat white rice. We eat rice with a lot of other fruits and vegetables, like what we had just now, right? Our dinner tonight.
这是为什么呢？因为我们吃白米饭的时候，我们不只是吃白米饭，我们吃白米饭还要配菜，对不对？还要加上菜肴。
So if you look at the Chinese meal pattern, this is the following.
如果我们看那个中国人的传统饮食呢，这是我们看到的。
See, we eat rice, but it's not a whole lot. We eat rice, but we also eat vegetables and meat. But typically, the meat are just to flavor the vegetables. This is the traditional way of eating.
所以，当我们中国人我们中国人吃饭的方法呢，我们有白米饭，我们有菜，当然有一些肉，但是这个肉呢是来调味的
Yeah.
啊，它是调那个味，而不是主要来吃这个肉。
You know, I don't know about you. When I grow up, that's how I eat. My mom will cut down the small chicken, small pieces, and then she will fry vegetables, and we eat the rice or zhou, right? That's how we eat growing up.
我记得小时候呢，妈妈煮菜的时候呢，那有切点肉，但是肉是来煮菜的，那菜是多过肉的。
Yeah, but when I come to America, that's not how people eat. They eat one big, you go to KFC, you have 3 pieces of chicken. Woo, that's all you have, right?
那如果你去肯德基的那个吃鸡肉的时候，你看，哎，全部都是鸡肉。
All chicken. Or you go to McDonald's, whoa, the burger is so big, but only one small little leaf of lettuce on top.
那如果去吃汉堡包，你看，哇，这么多肉，这么多面包，只有一片
And if you go
青
to
菜
eat。pizza, it's all empty calories, the carbohydrate, and with lots and lots of cheese, which is lots of fat, and he gave you the pepperoni, right? What is it called? Pepperoni, which is meat. That's all.
那么你如果去吃披萨的话，你就看到很多乳酪，加上 pepperoni， 然后可能一点点的那个
Did
青
you
菜
see。the problem?
你看到了没有？它问题出在哪里呢？
I'm not saying you must give up your meat or chicken, but if you eat the way we were brought up when we were young, our parents, our grandparents, this is good. The traditional Chinese way is the best.
所以呢，不是说我们今天一个晚上就要改变我们的饮食的习惯，不是，而是说我们回想那个我们中国人吃法呢，那是比较健康的方法。
So always make sure your meat, if you include meat, is always side dish, not the main dish.
所以记得了，如果你去吃，不管吃什么东西都好，那个蛋白质或者是肉呢，不是你主要的食物，而是衬托或者调味。
Focus on the plant because the plant is what we have. The plant has 2 things that animal product don't have. Number 1, it has fiber.
那么为什么吃蔬菜跟那些植物呢？植物呢？第一，它有纤维。
Remember, I told you fiber is important to move the food through a 25 feet long of our intestine. You know our intestine is 25 feet long right here.
我们的肠胃啊，长度是25尺。 然后我们有吃呢纤维，纤维呢就好像把那个食物呢运作，使它能够从我们肠胃的上面到下面。
I just want to do this experiment one more time in case you forget. From your rib cage, can you feel your rib cage? Everybody feel it,
你们摸一摸自己的肋骨哈，最后
all the
最后一
way
根。
to where just before your hip bone, your two hip bone, right? I know some of you, you know the space between here and here, they are not very big, right?
那你可以用手摸一摸，从这里到那
If
里
you
的，
cannot feel it, imagine it.
它的距离不是很长，不是很
Okay.
大
Well,
的地
maybe
方，
this is only 6-inch long,
可
right?
能6寸啊，6
From
寸
your
的
rib
这
cage
个
to
空
here.
间。
Now think about it. This small space, you have 25 feet of intestine like this, going like this. Okay, squeeze here.
所以你们看啊，这个小小的一个空间呢，有25尺的肠胃在里面。
So I want you to think, what makes the food move through this 25 feet before they go out to the toilet? What makes it move?
我们吃东西吃下去哈，它怎么样从这里走了25尺的那个这个这么长的一条路呢？
How do you move?
才到厕所去呢？
How does it work? Fiber.
我们
Exactly.
就要纤维。我们吃饭有纤维的话呢，那纤维就帮着我们的食物。
And where can you find fiber?
消化。
Only in plants, not in animal.
在动物的肉类里面没有纤维，只有蔬菜有纤维。
So just think about it.
所以你们想想看，
Every time you eat, think of your poor intestine. What are you going to do with all the meat and the hot dog and the cheese that you have? There's no fiber. How are you going to move the food?
所以你们想想看，如果只是单吃肉类或者乳酪这些没有纤维的东西啊，那个食物怎么样从那个肠里面一直到25尺这么远去
And
呢？
number 2, only plant food has phytochemical. Phytochemicals are chemicals that found in plants.
这种呢叫做什么雌
植物的
雌激什么？
the chemical in plants, right?
就是说这个你刚才有写
It can only found in plant. Chemical 叫什么化学啊？植物化学啊？化学对不对？啊，对了。So, what is so great about phytochemicals?
所以这个英文叫做 phytochemical 呢，什么好处呢？
So phytochemicals
它叫
are
植物化学质。
对，
植物化学质。
对 phytochemicals can only be found in plant, and they are powerful antioxidant. Antioxidant are the one that fight cancer. Oh, battery is running low. Is this not plugging?
No, it's not plugging. 可能没有 power.
Can somebody check for me? I don't want my computer to die on me.
那么这个 phytochemical 呢，它的功能是什么？它能够抗癌。
Great. So, phytochemical help you to fight cancer and fight virus, fight all kinds of sickness. It protects your cells from being damaged.
而且呢，这些化学所谓植物的东西呢，它能够抗癌，也能够抗菌。
Right. So remember I told you here is a 25 feet long, your intestine right here, 25 feet in the small 6-inch space. Now, your intestine is has a bigger store of immune cells. Immune cells. 怎么翻译？
免疫的细胞。
对。
所以我们的这个肠胃里面哈，是我们身体主要的免疫细胞的存在所在。
So if you eat food that's full of antioxidant, you can be sure this your tract, right? Here is not carcinogenic. It's not cancer causing because you have food that has a lot of phytochemical.
也就是说，当我们吃如果是大量的吃蔬菜的食物哈，我们的肠胃呢会保护我们。为什么？它在里面呢，它能够抗癌、抗菌。
Okay, now we have an issue with technology. All right, so to summarize, 2 things. Why do we prefer to eat plant food? Because number 1, it has fiber. It helps to move our food better, easier. And number 2, it prevents the space here from getting a lot of unwanted toxin that will make you to get cancer, right?
所以刚才说的有纤维，然后第二呢，它能够帮助我们的肠胃呢，有保护我们的这个能力，抗癌、抗菌， 都是在我们的肠胃里面。
Okay, all right. So I have to do magic now, right? Because I don't have my PowerPoint slide and I have a lot of information to share with you. So let's see how I'm going to do it. Okay, so that's why we want a plant-based. But let's look at protein. I know many of you are concerned, if I'm a vegetarian, will I get enough protein, right? Especially if your parents, you're worried, or you are elderly person, you're worried whether you get enough protein.
但每次我说到我们用饮食要多吃这蔬菜水果，少吃肉类的时候，有人就开始害怕说，到底我会得到足够的蛋白质吗？
Are you going to fix it?
Power,
All right. So how much protein we need? We actually don't need a lot of protein unless you are pregnant.
所以，如果我们到底身体需要多少蛋白质才能运作呢？
Yeah.
我们
Unless you're
不需要
pregnant
很多，除非我们那时候在怀孕，
or we are sick, we just got off our surgery,
或者是我们刚刚动完手术，或者生病了，
or we are going through some therapy, some treatment that requires more protein.
或者是我们在受到什么特别的医疗法，需要一些特别的这个营养。
So on average, we only need about less than 1 gram of protein per kilogram of body weight. So it's 0.8 to per kilogram. So it's very little.
所以呢，其实我们普通人这样，我们需要的蛋白质的分量是多少
0.8 gram per kilogram
所
of
以
your body weight.
那容易就是说0.8啊
0.8 gram.
0.8 gram 哈，0.8 gram，
Right.
每公斤0.8 gram。
So I'm going to just make it simple for you. If you're 150 pounds average,
如果一个
okay,
人150磅，比如说，
you need only about 54 gram of protein, which I have a picture which hopefully come out. I'll show you how easy to get enough protein even if you're on 100% vegetarian diet. So easy to get a 54 gram of protein.
也就是说呢，我们需要不是很多的这个蛋白质啊，一天的饮食里面呢，很容易就得到这个足够的分量了。
对 You only need about 50 gram of protein and you're good.
好。
All right. So the next question we're going to ask is when we say protein, what kind of protein, right?
那么接下来说蛋白质，到底什么食物有蛋白质呢？
Again, we're going to look at plant and look at animal. Both sides has protein.
我们知道呢，肉类有蛋白质，蔬菜水果也有蛋白质的。
Let me ask you a simple question. Do you know where do you get protein, plant protein? Can you give me examples of plant protein? Beans,
那我们蔬菜里面，
Huh?
我们说吃
Nuts,
豆类
seeds.
啊，硬果
right?
啊，那些种子。
Yeah. But do you know even bread, noodle also has some protein, but little.
但是我们知道，我们吃面也有蛋白质的，不是很多啦。也
Okay.
有
Of course, the major source of protein, if you're plant-based, it will be beans, nuts, and seeds like tofu. All kinds of beans and all kinds of nuts, right? You're right.
比如说，如果是一个吃多蔬菜的人，植物的人呢，当然是比如说豆腐呢，它是一种豆类的蛋白质。
So again, as a scientist, I want to be fair. I'm going to tell you this.
所以一个科学家呢，我要很公平的对待这件事情。
If you eat animal protein like your beef and your chicken,
如果你
versus you eat, let's say, beans and nuts, not tofu, beans and nuts.
如果你是吃这个肉类的啊，比起吃肉类而不是吃那个豆类的，比如
So
说，
when you eat chicken, you get what we call complete protein, very high quality protein. Is 10 upon 10, okay? High quality. You have complete protein.
哦，
Okay?
如果我们吃这个肉类呢，的确的，我们吃
没关系
肉类的话呢，我们得到的这个蛋白质哈是完全的，就是说
10
你所
upon
需要的，
Yeah. Which is good. But if you eat nuts and seeds, you may not get 10 upon 10 in terms of quality. Except if you eat soybean. Soybean is almost 10 upon 10, okay?
但是如果我们吃大豆哈，大豆是跟肉类一样的这个品质的蛋白质。
Right. That is the only negative thing about plant protein. This is only negative.
所以呢
That is not 10 upon 10 in terms of quality.
也就是说，肉类比起肉类跟豆类的相比呢，就是豆类呢，有些时候没有100%的那个需要的蛋白质。
对 But remember, I go back to this. I give you 3 principles, right? One is plant-based. The other one is eat a variety of food, right?
所以刚才我说几个原则，其中一个就是要吃多样化。
So because even if you're vegetarian, you don't just eat beans, right? You have breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You can eat all kinds of plant protein. You may eat tofu for lunch, and then you may eat something else, right? Tempeh for in the evening, or some other beans. So you will still get enough complete protein.
所以如果我们是吃蔬菜、菜蔬植物的，我们吃多样化的不同的菜类、不同的豆类、不同的果类，那么我们会得到完全需要的这个蛋白质。
So which means the only minus is not really minus for plant protein, okay?
所以可以说呢，这个一点点的缺点呢，是很容易就克服的。
But there are a lot of minuses if you eat beef and chicken. And here are the minuses.
那这里呢，告诉你，如果你吃动物的蛋白质呢，有很多问题的。
You look at this animal source, it's high in saturated fat, which is the fat that is bad for your health.
所以刚才第一个说是很好品质的蛋白质，但是这个它的脂肪是不好的。
High in cholesterol.
胆固醇很高。
And there's no fiber.
没有纤维。
So you could think of your traffic jam right here, right? You will have traffic jam in your
所以只是单吃肉类呢，你的肠胃呢就会有阻塞。
And you don't have phytochemical, which is an antioxidant that help you fight cancer. You don't have that.
第五呢，就是你没有那个好的这个植物的那个化学质呢，
But if
能
you
够
eat
帮
lots
助。
of beans and nuts,
如果我们吃豆类的这个蛋白质呢，
you have very low saturated fat, but you have very good fat.
虽然没有这个不好的脂肪，有好的脂肪就很多。
Your cholesterol is 0, no cholesterol.
植物里面没有这个胆固醇的，
Lots of fiber,
很多这个纤维，
lots of phytochemical to help you fight cancer.
然后很多植物的化学质来帮助我
Now, I
们。
promise you, I'm going to show you, right? A protein, some of the common food protein, as you can see. Of course, if you eat beef, you eat yogurt, you got very, very good high quality protein. Now, remember, you only need 50 grams of protein a day, right?
所以刚才说我们需要50克的这个蛋白质，这里就给我们一系列的不同的蛋白质的食物。
But I want you to go down the list. You look at tofu, you get 9 to 13 grams for just half a cup. And this evening, I think I eat more than half a cup because I take a few pieces of tofu, and I also get a tofu pea, right?
所以这里你就看到，再下来1、2、3、4、5，就讲到豆腐。豆腐呢，它也很好的蛋白质。
So we can also get good quality protein from peanut butter.
那么你知道我们吃那个花生酱也有蛋白质的。
Like I say, your nuts has protein, but it's not as much. It's 4 grams, and your vegetable also got protein. It's about 2 grams.
我们看到刚才吃的硬果呢，跟那些种子呢，也有蛋白质的，也有4克的蛋白质。
See, even if you eat rice, you get protein.
这里告诉我们说，如果我们吃饭里面也有蛋白质。
And if you don't want to drink milk or eggs, look, these are the protein you can get.
所以这里呢，告诉我们说，这些东西都给你们蛋白质。
The next one I want to review with you is about fat, because I hear this question all the time, fat.
那接下来要跟大家谈那个好跟不好的脂肪。
You don't have to go fat-free because I know a fat-free diet will not make you happy.
那我可以告诉你，你们不需要说我不要吃脂肪，或者是不要吃油，这个不好
I'm not
的。
happy if my food is all salad and raw. I will not be happy. I want it to be tasty.
因为脂肪呢会给我们的食物有口味，好的口味，所以我们要吃好的脂肪。
In fact, fat is important for our brain. Do you know our brain? Half of our brain, the weight of our brain is actually fat. It's coated with fat. We have a fat brain. Do you know that?
那脂肪对我们身体是很重要的。我们人脑啊，超过1半的重量都是里面的脂肪。
So we need fat to make our brain happy. So it's important to have fat, but good fat, okay?
所以呢，饮食里面如果没有油啊，没有脂肪呢，我们会不开心，因为
Now
我们
this
的
is a
头
very,
脑呢
very
是
busy
特别
slide,
的。
very busy, but I just want to highlight a few key important things.
那这里呢是很多资料，我只是要点出重点来。
See the good fat is right here, right? These are the good ones.
左边呢是好的脂肪，
Now you see all the good fat, they are all from plant except one from animal kingdom. Actually, it's not animal, it's the sea kingdom. From the sea, it's actually fish.
那个不饱和脂肪呢，是好的啊。这整个系列里面看到都是植物里面来的，只有一个就是鱼，海里的鱼。
So make sure if you want to eat fat, or use your oil to cook your vegetables, choose from here, this area.
所以你如果要用什么油来煮菜呢？你可以用好的油。
By the way, you may be allowed up to 10 teaspoons of fat in a day. That's pretty generous.
所以一天要吃多少油才不算多呢？
Okay.
10汤匙。
So when I say 10 teaspoons, it doesn't mean you drink like that. It's 10 teaspoons, you use some of them to cook your vegetables, and then when you eat your dessert, when you do coconut milk, when you cook cake, you bake your cake, whatever, you need some oil, right? So the 10 teaspoons would apply to all of this.
10个茶匙的这个油呢是不算多的，所以我们要煮东西呢，我们来烹饪或者是我们烤东西食物的时候，我们可以用油的。
Yeah. So remember, this is the fat that you want. You can have up to 7 teaspoons of fat right here. And then these are the not so good fat, which is right here, the bad and ugly, I call them. You want to be as little as possible. Limit yourself to about 3 teaspoons.
那么那些不好的脂肪啊，就是那些饱和脂肪，还有那个 trans fat 更不好的。这个呢，你每天限制3个茶匙。
Yeah, as you can see, mostly are animal. Okay?
所以这
And
不好
all the
的
processed food.
这不好的脂肪在哪里找到？那些加工的食物里面都有这些脂肪。
加工跟动物的脂肪。
动物脂肪。
Okay? Anytime you eat animal fat, you know you're going to have a very high saturated fat.
所以每次我们吃肉的时候呢，里面的脂肪都是那些饱和脂肪，都不好的。
Okay, I'm going to spend about 5-10 minutes on soy because it's so important because we eat a lot of soy product, right?
那么接下来要用5到10分钟时间讲到这个大豆，因为为什么我们中国人吃很多大豆？
Soy protein is 10/10. Remember that.
大豆的那个蛋白质的品质是10%，就是最好的。
It is equivalent to cow's milk.
可以说，如果要相比的话呢，它就像牛奶里面的那个蛋白
Because
质
the
的
protein
品
is
质，
very high quality.
是非常高品质的。
And for Chinese people, we know we have been eating soy for the longest time, for thousands of years, right?
我们中国人呢，吃豆腐吃了好多年，几千年了。
So soy product, whether it's tofu or tofu skin or tofu ball, whatever, that's made from soybean, is never a controversial food until it is eaten or consumed by the West.
所以我们中国人吃
Remember
了
that.
几千年的豆腐、豆干、豆皮、豆什么都有，豆泡豆泡也有，
Yeah,
没问题。但是后来西方人开始吃豆腐之后呢，
就有问题了。
就出了问题。为什
In
么
fact,
呢？
I learned about this controversy when I came to America 20 years ago.
20多年前来到了美国才知道，哇，人家对吃豆腐有这样大的一个争执。
I remember hearing it on the mass media, reading in the news. Of course, at that time there's no TikTok, but so much controversy. Everybody's scared. Cannot eat. Don't take soy. I remember scratching my head. I said, "What? I've been eating it since I was a little girl. My mom had no problem. My grandma, they don't have breast cancer. Like what? What's going on?"
所以20多年前呢，在报章上、在媒体上呢，就很多争论性的课题说。豆腐不好，会导致癌症等等，所以那时候我也很令人费解的，就是说我们中国人吃了这么多年，怎么没问题呢？
So let's look at facts. Let's look at the science.
所以我们又来看这个科学化的这个营养学。
So let's look at the soybean fats, right? Because tofu is from soybean.
所以这是大豆里面的，因为我们知道豆腐呢、豆皮呢、豆泡都是大豆做的。
So they have. You can see there are lots of good life-saving bioactive nutrients.
原来在大豆里面有非常好的这个营养。
Well, it has fat, but look at the fat.
它也有脂肪，但是是好的。你看，
It has polyunsaturated about 5 grams, much more than saturated fat, right? You see that?
那个不饱和脂肪呢，就
You have
有
about
5克，
5.6.
多过
right?
那个
And
饱
this is
和
only
脂
1
肪
point.。But look at the monounsaturated is almost 2 grams.
它这个是所谓叫做什么
Mono
？mono
是
单元
单元
不饱和脂
Okay,
肪。
this is very important because these are the two fats that is very difficult to find, right? And you can find them plentiful in abundance in soybean.
原来这个单元不饱和脂肪是很难找到的，但
Unless
是在
you eat-
豆腐里面才有。
Yeah, unless you eat avocado, but I know some of us don't eat avocado, don't like, and it's fine. So don't worry, you can eat a soybean and get your mono unsaturated.
另外一个地方可以得到这个不饱和的单元脂肪是 avocado。
Yeah. Now, and then it doesn't state it here, but I look it up for you, and I also I thought you might be interested. The omega-3 has about 0.6, a little bit, but it's good because we don't need a lot of omega-3, and you don't have to, which means we can get omega-3 in soy, other than your fish.
所以呢，更有趣的就是这个 omega 3呢，是我们身体很需要的脂肪，但是少量，豆腐里面有。
So remember, tofu has good fat. You have omega-3, good for your brain, your heart. You have monounsaturated, also protect your brain and your heart. It has lots of good fat. Right? So 以很多很好的脂肪保护你的头、你的心脏跟你的nervous system, right? 所以很难找到，可是呢，在大豆里面呢，你可以找到这很好的这种脂肪。Now, there's no cholesterol, 没有胆固醇 zero. And I want you to see the fiber. How much fiber you have?
所以你看它的
6 grams.
纤维多少啊？
Right? 6 grams. And
6克。
And good news, you don't have to worry about calcium. You have 102 milligram. There's a lot of calcium there.
在豆腐里面有很高的这个钙质。
It has iron. Iron is good for a red blood cell. You
铁
need that.
质。
So in other words, it has lots, even the potassium, doctors here will know. Potassium is good for your heart. You need that.
还有这个 potassium 呢，是对我们心脏很有
So it
帮
has
助。
lots of good things. Now, one more good thing, or rather controversial, is how you explain it, is the phytochemical special class called estrogen, phytoestrogen, okay?
所以呢，那个刚才我说争论性呢，是因为它里面有一种品质叫做 phytoestrogen， 就是雌激素。
So let me make it very simple. Phytoestrogen is like the estrogen that is made in our body. Very similar, but it's from plant.
原来呢，这个植物性的雌激素呢，就有一点像我们人的身体里面的女生啊，都有这个雌
And
激
this
素。
is the cause of controversy.
原来这个雌激素呢，因为豆腐里面有植物性的雌激素呢，就产生了一些争论性。
Because when the Americans discover tofu, right, or the Westerners discover tofu,
为什么呢？因为当这个西方人开始吃豆腐的时候，
you know what? They don't like tofu. They don't like the way we eat.
他们不喜欢我们中国人的吃法。
And it's okay. I don't blame them because they don't grow up eating like that. It's tasteless for them, right?
所以对他们来说呢，是他们
没有味道。
没有什么味道，对。
We are different. We grew up eating them when we were a little girl, little boy. Our mom and grandma feed us. We are used to the texture and the flavor, and we know how to flavor it, right? We know how to cook it.
那我们中国人知道怎么样煮豆腐，我们
Right.
从小就吃惯了。
In fact, when Americans first learned about tofu, they thought that tofu is cheese. They call it Chinese cheese.
开始他们吃这个豆腐的时候啊，西方人说这是中国人的乳酪。
But then it says tasteless. You know, cheese at least got a lot of sodium and whatnot, but you know, this is like tasteless.
所以他们觉得那个豆腐呢是没有味道的。
And you know what they do to tofu? They don't know how to eat it like that. So they make tofu into tofu ice cream, tofu cheese, tofu cream, tofu taco. They use American style and they use tofu to substitute.
所以他们就用这个豆腐做原料呢，做很多西方人的食物，比如说豆腐的乳酪啦、豆腐的什么什么啦之类的东西。
So there's a difference between how American eat
Tofu ice cream.
tofu versus We eat tofu, the Asians,
所以
right?
你看，这个外国人或西方人用吃豆腐的方法跟我们的不一样。
Now the difference is what make the difference in terms of its impact on your health,
原
okay?
来呢，他们用豆腐的方法呢，跟我们不一样，就产生了那个效果的不一样。
I remember showing this to a group of pretty much white Caucasians, and I tried to explain to them this is what kind of tofu we eat. And I remember their jaw dropped, their eyes pop out. They said, I've never seen this. The only tofu I see is the Costco tofu.
那么这边西方的朋友，当他跟他们说我们吃的豆腐呢有这样多种吃法呢，他们根本没看过。他们说有看过豆腐是在 Costco。
And I told them we actually eat tofu skin, and this is how we eat tofu skin. This is how we make.
那我告诉他们说，我们还吃那个豆皮，腐皮，他们听都没听过。
So, is it different way of eating and different way of preparation?
因为不同的烹饪方法、准备方法，
And you can see this part of the tofu is highly processed and has a lot of other ingredients that mix to it.
你可以看到呢，那西方吃豆腐的方法呢，加了很多人工的加工。
And is that one of the reasons why we see this phenomena, this controversies?
所以我们就看到呢，那个争论性的课题是这样子。
So for the Chinese and the Asians who live in Asia, we eat a lot of tofu, high soy consumption, and yet our incidence of breast cancer is very low.
所以就是说，从统计上看到呢，我们在亚洲吃了很多豆腐的食物，但是呢，那个乳癌的那个病例很低的。
Whereas for the Western countries, including America and European, they eat very low soy, but different kind of soy, like I show you, but the incidence of breast cancer are very high.
在西方呢，他们吃这个大豆的分量比较少，他们的乳癌的这个病例会很高。
And for Asians, the evidence for the protection of soy is very consistent, very consistent, and is very strong, the evidence.
所以在亚洲呢，我们吃豆腐的方法使到这个豆腐呢会保护我们的身体。
Even somebody who has breast cancer, they can still eat tofu, and they can actually enjoy the protection from tofu.
在亚洲或者是在东方呢，一个人甚至已经有乳癌的，你还是可以照样吃豆腐，没
But
问
the
题。
same cannot be said for a Westerner or somebody who eat tofu when they are adult.
那原来呢，这个从小吃豆腐跟成人之后再吃豆腐呢，有的功效不一样。
So in Western research that is done on Western population, they find that the evidence are very controversial. Sometimes it's protective, sometimes it's not.
所以在西方呢，因为他们已经成人了才来吃，就是大人在吃豆腐呢，不一定保护他们的身体，使到他们不会得到乳癌。
So when I learned about this, the first thing that come to my mind, the question that come to my mind was, hey, they're eating different kind of tofu, so it's not apple to apple. We cannot compare.
原来呢，虽然是吃大豆呢，但是做法不一样。
Unless they eat my kind of tofu, then we can talk. But they are different type of tofu.
但是他们所用的那个用法呢不一样。
So tofu controversies is not a controversy at all for the Asians or the Chinese who eat since we are young.
总的来说呢，对我们亚洲人从小就吃豆腐长大的呢，吃豆腐不是什么争论性的课题。
So here's a few key things that I want you to have a peace of mind if you have not already have, but do it today, right? I want you to give it to you today. If you are still worried about tofu, here are the 4 things I want to tell you about tofu.
所以今天呢，如果你对这个豆腐有一点疑问呢，我想今天给你这个原则。
Tofu for a lot of us in the room is a lifestyle. It's not a choice. You know what's the difference? Let me explain. Go ahead.
那我们吃饭有豆腐呢，是我们的生活方式来的，
Yeah.
不是我们的选择。
不是选择. When I say choice, is you do it when you learned about it and you're educated about it. So you make a special effort to go and Costco and buy it, and you learn from your book how to eat it, from the textbook or you watch video how to eat tofu. That is an educated choice. But for all of us who grew up eating tofu, it's not. We just eat it when we were little, not when we hardly know anything.
也就是说啊，我们中国人啊，从小在家里就是吃豆腐、吃豆皮，所以不是一个选择，不像西方人呢，他们是去读了一本书说，哦，原来可以这样子来烹饪，所以他们才去买豆腐来吃。
So you ask, so what is the difference? So what? You mean I cannot eat tofu when I'm older and adult because of education?
那么，难道我是说你不能够，如果不是你们的生活习惯，你就不能够吃豆腐的食物吗？
So what I'm trying to say, if you want to enjoy protective benefit, the benefit from tofu, like the Chinese and the Asians, then you must eat like them.
也就是说，如果我们要这豆腐给我们好处、帮助呢，我们就要像中国人的吃法这样来做。
Eat it as part of your meal, right?
也就是
one dish among many other dishes.
也就是说，像我们中国人一样，豆腐是一道菜，
Yeah.
还有其他的菜。
Eat a plant-based diet like the Chinese.
那么我们也要吃多数吃菜的这个饮食，
Cut down on your meat, make it like a side dish,
少肉多菜。
right? And eat it not like in the form of ice cream or cheese or supplement. Eat it like it is.
而且呢，吃这个豆腐呢，不要当做 ice cream 啊这样子来吃，而是我们中国人的吃法。然后呢，不要把它当做一种药源来吃。
对. And if you miss the childhood and you only started to eating tofu now that you're 30, 40, 50, you're still good, right? Of course, you missed the best period to begin eating tofu, which is as child. You still can eat it, but make sure you follow the principle that I gave you. Eat like a lifestyle, eat it as natural as possible, eat the way the Chinese eat.
那么虽然你已经不是从小就开始吃豆腐，还是可以吃的，但是就是要像我们中国人这样子多样化，吃不同的这个食物，加上豆腐。
Another reason why the Chinese traditional diet is so life-saving is because the way we cook our food. We use a lot of, we'll call it spices, that is not butter or cream, but we use a lot of garlic and shallots.
那另外一个就是我们中国人煮菜的方法，我们用蒜啊，用这个葱啊之类来调味，而不是用其他的人工的一种调味法。
And let me tell you this, don't give up. Continue to use them because garlics and shallots, they are full of antioxidant, packed with vitamins and minerals.
所以这些小葱啊，这些蒜啊，这是很好的食物。
And the best form to be consumed is when they are fresh and not cooked, right? When you just cut them up and you put some soy sauce and you can put it with your tofu, eat it with your noodle or your fish, whatever. Just cut it fresh. The more, the better.
所以，当我们用新鲜的这个方法来吃它的话，对我们身体更大的保护。
So the antioxidant effect is best when it's freshly cut and freshly chopped.
所以它会这个抗氧化啦，然后特别是那个新鲜的更好。
So use them. I know some of you are already doing it. Don't give up. This is one of the best addition that you can put to your already healthy food.
所以呢，当我们吃蒜头、吃葱头呢，这是对我们身体很好的。
Eat it whole, but don't buy supplement. Not in the supplement form, okay?
这个蒜头、葱头啊，不要说去买了这药盐这样来吃。
Another favorite of Chinese food is what? Mushroom.
还有我们吃这是香菇、菇类。
I don't know why Americans are afraid of mushroom, but we are not. We love mushroom.
那我们很多外国人啊，或者是这西洋人，他们觉得这个菇类很难吃，或者是
There are many kinds, right? There are Western kind of mushroom. There are all kinds. It's good. They are all good.
所有的这些香菇之类的都是很好的。
Now you can eat it as is, like a main dish, or you can eat it as condiments to enhance the flavor, right? When you cook your tofu, you chop it up, and then you cook with your tofu or your beans or whatever.
我们也可以把它当做一个主要的菜来吃。
So the key things I want to tell you why tofu is so good. There are many, many good things. Okay, I just want to tell you they are good source of vitamin D.
那么它们是里面含有很多维他命 D 维生素 D 维生
So
素。
vitamin D help in cell growth and also bone health. See?
那个 D 维生素呢，帮助我们的细胞成长，还有对我们的骨骼很重要。
Here's another reason why Chinese don't break their bones, osteoporosis, even though we don't drink cow's milk, because we eat a lot of mushroom, which is good.
那我们中国人呢，我们骨骼健康呢，就是因为我们吃很多这个菇类。
Another
香菇
thing
之
I want
类
to mention up here is lots of vitamin B6, which is very important to make your red blood cells, right?
还有
Replenish your red blood cells and for your brain development.
还有这个 B6的维生素呢，是帮助我们的这个红血球。
It's so good. I can give a lecture just by this. So many good things about mushroom. It fight cancer. It prevent. It reduce the risk of Alzheimer, diabetes. So many good things about mushroom.
所以这些菇类呢，它们对我们身体很有好处的。
Here's a slide. If you want, you can take a picture. It's lots of health benefits that are associated with mushroom. So I suggest don't give up and continue to eat it as part of your meal pattern.
所以我们要继续吃多那个菇
And
类。
my time is running out, but I want to tell you, even the Chinese desserts are healthier than the Western dessert.
那么讲到甜品呢，我们相比我们中国人的甜品跟那外国人或者西洋化的甜品呢，我们的会比较健康。
You look at all this. They are all from plant-based, right?
你看到这些甜品都是我们中国人吃的，
They are
都是从植物来的，不是动物，
Nuts and
不是
seeds,
肉
right?
类。
Nuts and seeds. Even the sesame, black beans, green bean soup, they are all very healthy.
芝麻糊啦，或者是绿豆汤啦之类，都是菜类的。
And Chinese love peanuts. Peanuts are beautiful. Don't let people tell you peanuts are bad for you.
那有些人说这个花生啊，这个花生是对我们很好的。
Do you know the allergy against peanut is very low in Asia, but it's very high in Western country? Do you know?
在亚洲呢，这花生敏感这件事情是很少的，但是在美国呢是很普遍。
Even though the Asians, include the Thai and the Vietnamese and the Malaysians and Singapore and China, we eat so much peanuts, but we don't have so much allergy against peanut as much as the Westerners.
所以在亚洲各国呢，他们吃很多花生的这个食品。
Because there's a theory, even though it's not proven, but there's a strong theory that suggests that cow's milk actually increases your body, decreases your body immune system and subject you to more allergy to all kinds of allergen.
那有一种学说啦，但虽然还没有真正的有什么证明，就是说，因为我们从小喝奶啊，会对很多的其他食物会有敏感。
Because milk are for cow, right? It's not for human.
那为什么呢？因为我们知道这个刚才说了，牛奶是给小牛喝的，不是给人类喝的。
I run by a few slides for you to show you how nutritious some of the beans, like my favorite red beans. Look at some of the ingredients are nutritious.
你看这个是红豆的甜包。
Yeah, my favorite, right? Okay, and you can see they are good fat, even good fat. The monounsaturated, you can see here is 0.9,
所
right?
以你看它那个不饱和的那个脂肪会比那个饱和脂肪
And
多
don't。forget it has fiber, 2 grams of fiber.
然后有纤维。
And I just show you side by side the red bean plus the black sesame seed. So good. They're all rich in protein, rich in fiber, and very good monounsaturated fat source.
所以那个右边的那个是芝麻蒸包。
All right. And, this is my favorite. I know this is my husband's favorite. 瓜子.
瓜子。
If you want a
瓜子也很健康。
snack, I suggest this is a good snack. You know why? You know why it's a good snack?
这个是很好的一个甜品啊。
Huh? Minus because you have to keep, all right? 你要做工的嘞, you have to work to eat it. It is not free, right? You have to open the thing, crack it, and eat it.
我们吃瓜子哈，这个是很好的一个。
But I just want to show you quarter cup of sunflower give you so much vitamin B complex, which is so important, the Bs.
而且呢，里面有这个B 维生素很重要。
Now, I purposely box up the fat. I want you to see you have a lot of good fat.
那你看到这个脂肪呢，好的脂肪很多。
Oh, this is my favorite. Do you like broad beans?
所以这里的一包
My
蚕豆
favorite.
蚕
Oh,
豆
I have
呢，
some sample here if you want. My favorite. I usually will pack them when I travel.
那我们
Because,
出
yeah.
门旅行呢，就带了一包这样子。
Yeah, because it has good fat and it has good protein. Keep me very full for a long time.
里面有这个蛋
See
白
the
质啦
protein, 8 gram. Okay? Now, I just want to show you in case I know there are a lot of moms, dads are worried that, if you raise your vegetarian, on the vegetarian diet, your child will not get enough protein. I just want to show you this is a vegetarian diet, 1 day's diet, and look at how much protein you get.
所以这里呢，就给我们看示范说，一个人如果他是吃素的，或者是吃植物食物的哈，不是吃肉类的，他得到多少的这个蛋白质呢？一天他可以吃到94克的蛋白质。
We only need about 50 gram, remember? If you're 150 pounds, you only need about 50 gram, and yet if you eat this diet, you get 94 gram a day.
所以如果我们吃我们中国人的食物哈，我们一天得到的蛋白质差不多94克。
And it's a
足够一个
top-rate protein, no cholesterol.
而且是个好的蛋白质，没有胆固醇。
Look at how much fiber you get.
那么你看那个纤维多么高。
Now, I want to spend a few minutes on calcium because I want to go back to the big government. Now, you look at the calcium, we are pretty low, only 600, about 700 milligram. Now, the US government say we all has to eat 1,200 milligram of calcium. Do you know that? That's a lot.
这个美国的这个食物指南，政府食物指南说一天要吃1200克的这个钙质，但是我们只有696克。
So all the vegetarian Chinese kids were in trouble. We only have 700.
所以我想，如果我们在中国人的这个传统的食物里面呢，就没有这么多这个钙质。
So what is going to happen to us?
那怎么办呢？
Will we have heart disease? Will we have diabetes? Because that's what they've been telling us in school, that you must drink milk, otherwise you're going to have all this problem.
然后我们是不是会健康损坏呢？
Like I say, who drinks cow's milk?
所以我们刚才说了，什么人应该喝牛奶啊？小牛，
Baby cow,
小牛，
right? Not human baby.
而不是人的婴孩。
They will drink milk, but from mother.
那人的婴孩呢，
right?
喝母亲的奶。
After 2 years old, you don't drink mommy's milk. You drink food. You eat food.
2岁之后的小孩呢
God give us teeth, right?
就开始吃这个食物，而不喝奶了。
Do you know 70% of the world population
百
are lactose intolerant?
这个全个世界上的人口啊，70%哈
Yeah.
都身体不能够消化牛奶。
It's not just the Chinese from China or Hong Kong and Korea, okay? There's a lot of lactose intolerant people from Latin America, from South America, or even from the continent of America.
所以从拉丁美洲啊，很多人都是不能够消化牛奶。
And in fact, among Caucasian, I've known that many of them are lactose intolerant even.
原来很多就是生长在西方国家的人呢，他们也身体不能够真的去消化这个牛奶。
So it's nothing wrong. Remember this. I want the moms and dads and grandparents listen carefully. Lactose intolerance is not a sickness.
那不能够喝奶呢，或者不能够消化奶呢
Yeah.
不是一种病来的，不
It's
是
not a
病
disability.
也不是一种所谓的
Disability. 残废。
残缺。
残缺，哈哈，残废，残缺，缺陷。But do you know? Listen to this. This may be shocking to you. Do you know if your child, as a vegetarian child or Seventh-day Adventist child who refuses to eat cow's milk, if you go to school and you say, "Hi, teacher, can I have soy milk?" The teacher will say, number one, I don't have soy milk. Number two, the teacher will say to your child, you have to go back to your mommy and go to the doctor and get the doctor to certify that you are sick or you are disabled. That is the law.
所以在美国啊，如果一个人说我不能喝奶呀，我不喝奶，那么他就说你要回去叫医生签名，签证说证明你是有缺陷。
You know what? You should tell your child this. You go back to a teacher and say, "I'm Chinese," or "I'm lactose intolerant," even though I'm not Chinese, and lactose intolerance is not sickness.
但是我们必须呢去教育这些人啊，说其实不喝奶或者是你不能消化奶，不是一个缺陷，是一个正常的现象来的。
It's actually the way that God built our bodies so that God wants us to start eating other solid food. He gave us teeth, you know. You know how many teeth we have? I don't know, 30, 32, 36. I don't know how many teeth we have. The teeth is to bite, not to drink from cow.
那当小孩呢生了牙齿之后呢，就是上帝要我们吃食物， 而不是一直在喝奶了。
So let me tell you, 70%, right? It's not just the Asian American, they're African, they're American Indians, they're Hispanic Latinos. Okay?
所以很多民族啊，不只是我们亚洲人呢，不能够消化这个奶。
I just want to show you this. This may be very insightful for you. You look at the countries. Lactose intolerance actually depends on where you come from. If you come from this country, the bottom 10, you have no problem with lactose intolerance. You drink milk, you eat cheese, you eat yogurt. Look at this country, 1 to 10.
所以左边的那个国家，那些国家的人口啊，都没有问题，对这个奶品没有问题。
Because it's part of their diet.
那为什么？因为他们从小可能就开始喝
If
奶。
you're from Denmark, Ireland, Sweden, it's only 4 to 7% of them are lactose intolerant, which means 95% of them are okay with milk and cheese and yogurt.
比如说你从丹麦来的话呢，你96%呢没有问题，可以喝那个奶制品。
And you look at this top 10 country, including America. America's only 1/3 is lactose intolerance, only 130%, which means the other 70% are okay. If you look at this, these are mostly white Caucasians, right? Western, Northern European people.
所以这些呢，你看很多都是这个北欧那一带。
But then you move to this part where it's 100% lactose intolerance. They get people from Ghana, Malawi, South Korea, and Yemen. Yemen, 100%. They cannot digest. Otherwise, they'll go to toilet, right? They'll have diarrhea. They have discomfort, tummy discomfort.
那么你看这些右边的这个国家呢，有些地方啊，100%的人不能够有牛奶制的食品，吃了呢他们就拉肚子。
Including the Vietnamese, 98%.
在越南呢，有98%的人
Now,
不适合喝牛奶。
Equally high are people from Middle Eastern like Syria, Iraq, Israel, and Iran.
在中
Look at
东
how long.
国家也有很多人是不能够不习惯喝牛奶。
And if you are from Taiwan, Malaysia, China, it's about 85 to 88.
所以如果是从中国、马来西亚、台湾呢，是85%到88%。
So what happened is this diet guideline or advice or standard was developed by U.S. government more than 100 years ago. More than 100 years ago.
原来这个饮食的指南呢，在美国现在在用的是100多年前做出来的。
More than 100 years ago, the population in U.S. are very different from now, right?
100多年前呢，美国的人口跟现在的美国人口不一样了。
Most of the people that come to America, the pilgrims, they're all from Western European, right? The Northern European.
因为
They're all
100
from
多年
Europe.
前呢，我们美国的人口啊，多数是从北欧移民来到这里。
Right now it's 2024 in California, 51%, especially here in San Bernardino counties, 51% is actually Hispanic, and Asian in Chino here is 30%.
那么在南加州这一带哈，那个从墨西哥来的有51%，在奇诺这里30%是亚洲人。
But unfortunately, after 100 years, very little has changed in terms of the diet guideline or the standard. Very little has changed.
所以这100多年了，那个饮食的指南呢，没有改变太多。
Even though, listen to this, even though every 5 years, the government will go through this very laborious effort and exercise to ask a team of scientists to come together, pay them to go to Washington, D.C., give them a room, study the literature, research. Every 5 years, they will get a group of scientists to review their dietary guideline. Every 5 years to do that. But you know what? Every 5 years is the same thing. We still have this.
每5年呢，美国政府会花很多钱啊，请那些专家来到华盛顿那边去开会，但是每5年呢回来的那个指南都是一样的。
You know what happened? This group of scientists, after they will study for 2 years. 2 years, okay? It's not 1 month, it's not 2 months, 2 whole year. They will study.
还没有开始之前呢，他们先要研究2年才来开会。
After 2 years, they'll write a recommendation, and then they will bring this recommendation. This is like 50, 60 pages long. I don't know how long, how thick. They will give it to the U.S. government, and the U.S. government is the last authority who have the last say, and then they will issue the guideline. How much they will adopt from the advice and the recommendation for the scientists, God knows.
那么发现到呢，不管那些专家花了多少时间呢，写了多少的报告呢，最后呢，美国政府他们自己要决定那个饮食指南。
So whether you know it, for 100 years, Americans has been indoctrinated that we all have to drink milk in order to be healthy.
所以这个100多年来呢，美国人呢，政府一直在宣传说，你们要喝牛奶，你们要喝牛奶。
And for over 50 years, the dairy industry enjoy the highest amount of funding.
所以呢，超过50年来呢，每年政府给很多津贴，刚才说10亿美元的津贴给那些牛场。
Today, cow's milk is the #1 source of saturated fat in Americans' diet.
今天呢，在美国的饮食里面呢，牛奶是那个饱和脂肪的来源最大的一个来源。
Just give me 2 more minutes. I want to share with you this outstanding research. Outstanding.
这里呢，我们用2分钟时间来看看这个研究。
Most of the research data that, remember I told you the group of scientists that come together in Washington, D.C., they group together and they spend 2 years to review their evidence. Most of the study they study are not on Chinese people or Asian. They study on European, Americans people. But this is one of the very few studies that I came across, but I don't think they study, but I want to share with you.
那很多的研究呢是其他的种族，但是这里呢说到我们中国人，最后想跟大家分享。
So this was a study that was just published in 2021, just 2 years ago.
所以2021年12月。
And it was done in China, okay?
在中国大陆的一个研究。
There were 2 cohort studies that follow 14,000 Chinese adults. 14,000, that's a lot, right? Over a 5-year period.
所以他们用5年时间来研究呢，有14000个人来报名。
The subjects are as young as 20 years old, as old as 75. So it's a wide range of age range.
那个年纪是20岁到75岁。
And these are people in China, eat very traditional, like I mentioned to you, very traditional Chinese food, plant-based, a lot of plant-based, and maybe some pork and some chicken, but always as a side dish.
这些是我们中国人的食物了，他们用中国的食物是主要是吃菜，当然有吃一些猪肉，有吃一些鸡肉。
Because you know what, the world is very confused because the U.S. government is so powerful. When they release this guideline that everybody must eat 1,200 milligrams of calcium a day, it also impact on the whole world, not just America, okay? The whole world.
原来美国他们饮食指南
America is so powerful.
饮食指南里面说每天要吃1200克的这个钙质呢，这个影响到全个世界，其他国家也用这样同样的一个
So the researcher will find out whether it works for Chinese people, whether the Chinese people should follow this guideline.
所以这个2个研究在中国就是要看看到底这个美国的饮食指南的1200克的钙质到底可以不可以用在我们中国人身上。
And what they found out was after following up for 5 years, they do a pre and post test. They look at their urine, they check their calcium level and everything, their intake. They find that the Chinese people eat average about 400 to 500 milligram of calcium a day.
所以他们发现到在中国我们中国人吃这个钙质一天是差不多400-500克。
Because Chinese people don't drink milk, right? They eat soy, they do other things. So it's only 400. And yet, at the end of the day, they found that there's no relationship to their bone density.
结果发现到呢，虽然只吃400-500克的这个钙质呢，没有影响到他们的骨骼的这个身体的
Not type 2 diabetes.
也没有影响到他们得到这个
糖尿
病。
Heart disease, CVD, no relationship.
也不会影响到他们得到这个心脏病。
Not relating to obesity.
也不会影响到他们是否会加重身
The
体
main
加重。
source of their 400 to 500 of calcium is all from vegetables and fruits and soybean.
那么发现到我们中国人这个大量的这个钙质是从食物、植物还有我们豆腐。
So the study concluded that the U.S. recommendation does not work for Chinese people.
所以这个研究呢，在中国发表的就是说，我们美国的这个饮食指南呢，在中国或者在中国人身上呢是不能够用的。
But we knew this long ago. We don't need a study to tell us. You know why? Because our grandparents, our parents, for thousands of years, we were doing fine. We have been doing fine in
但
terms
是
of our
我
health.
们中国人不需要做什么科学研究来知道这件事情。我们吃了几千年的这个中国人的食物，我们知道是好的。
So what I'm trying to tell you tonight is don't give up our traditional food.
所以今天呢，
Or
我们是
diet
说
pattern.
我们要吃回我们中国人传统的这个菜肴。
Because if you look at our Chinese traditional diet pattern, we are very close to what the Bible says.
为什么呢？
Okay.
因为当我们看我们中国人吃的方法呢，跟圣经所给我们教导很相似，
Very, very close.
非常多的相似，
You don't
很接近。
have to give up.
也不需要放弃，
You tell your children the Bible diet is the best.
因为
Okay.
圣经的给我们的饮食是最好的。
And we Chinese is very close to the Bible diet, so we must be proud.
所以我们的中国人的传统饮食是跟圣经的很相近。
I know a lot of Chinese, when we come to America, we're very eager to assimilate to the society, right? We're very eager. We want to be so that people can accept us. I get that.
很多时候我们来到美国呢，我们就学习了美国的饮食的
Right.
习惯。
We learn English, we learn how to drive on the other side of the road.
我们这
Right?
个吃
It's
的，
good. They're all good. But there's certain thing we don't give up, okay?
所以我们有一些东西我们要跟他们同化了，但是有些东西我们不需要跟他们啦。
Don't give up our identity.
也就是说，我们中国人的这个我们的身份，
And diet is very much our identity.
也就是我们的食物是很重要的。
It's very much identity. Diet is our identity. It's part of our identity, right? And most importantly, our diet is very close to the Bible. That's why we don't want to compromise.
因为我们的食物吃的方法很接近这个圣经告诉我们的
So
方法。
I want to tell all the parents and grandparents and young kids that don't be bullied by anyone who tell you your Chinese diet is not good enough. No, you must say my diet is the best.
所以我
If you
们
eat
不
the
要让人家
traditional way,
告
it's
诉我
traditional
们说，我们的食物呢会比别人的不好。其实我们的食物是比人家的优秀。
Okay? As long as you follow by the Bible principle, we will be all right.
因为我们根据圣经的这个，
I know my time is up, but I know we have one question. Okay, go
我
ahead.
这里有一
And
个
then
问
we have to
有
close. Yes.
好，有一个问题我们要回答，
Okay,
两
go
个
ahead.
问题，
Yeah. 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 Okay. It's a
所以
very
那
good
个
question.
椰子的油啊
Yeah.
啊，现在
So if you look at coconut oil, it's in the middle. It's not bad. It's in the middle. It means that you don't want to have too much, you know. So here's the thing. This is what I always tell my patient, right? Especially if you come from Southeast Asia, right? We eat a lot of coconut, right? We don't want to
你
give up.
看椰子的油是在中间啊，
Now, even though coconut has a lot of saturated fat, it's true,
它有很多
Okay.
饱和脂肪
right? It's true. There's no denying. But here's the thing. We don't just eat coconut. We eat a lot of other plant food. Remember, you eat a variety of food. And so if you eat coconut cake, coconut kind of cake, coconut kind of cookies, or you use coconut put on your red bean soup once in a while, it's okay. It's just like you eat meat. Right?
也就是说呢，我们虽然那个椰子的那个油不是最好的油，但是也不是说不一定说不要吃才可以。我们有些时候用那个椰子或者椰浆来煮饭，
对，
这是
煮饭
可以的。
或者是我们的那个
那
绿豆汤。
为什么呢？因为我们吃很多样化的嘛，所以
对
这个椰子只是其中一个。
I want you to treat coconut like meat, like your chicken. You eat it once in a while.
就好像我们吃肉或者是吃鸡肉之类，我们可以吃，不要常吃。
Right? So just like when you eat your chicken, your beef, you eat it with your vegetables, right? So you want to use a coconut milk, treat it like your meat. It's a saturated fat. You can have it 3 teaspoons a day, right? Keep it to not more than 3 teaspoons.
所以刚才我说了，不好的油你还可以3茶匙，一天3茶匙，所以不是完全不可以。
So it's fine. Okay.
第二个问题
Oh,
呢
we have one more. I think.
You got second question?
Oh. Yes. Now, B12 is tricky if you're vegetarian. It may be hard to get B12 because B12 can only be found in animal. So, talk to your doctor to see if you need the supplement, especially if you're vegan. Right. Yeah. Unless you're vegan, it's a bit tricky. But if you're not vegan, if you take eggs, it's still okay. You go to B12.
所以
Okay?
如果就是说维生素
I
B
think that
12
one
哈，
is next. Yes. Yes. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
What vitamins, multiple or minerals, what vitamins would you suggest? And also, the Chinese fast food places, that's good?
Yeah,
A lot of them.
I know. You see, here's the thing, the Chinese fast food, they are trying to be Americanized. So they use a lot of very high sugar, high sodium, but it's not the best kind of Chinese food. The best kind of Chinese food is what you will eat here in Chino Valley. Very good. You should have eaten just now. The food we had just now was super good. So I hear you. Okay, a lot of like Panda Express and all this, they use a lot of sugar and a lot of sodium. Yeah, I would say come here and eat or learn how we eat. Maybe we can give you some recipe you can cook at home. Yes. Yes, you first. I think you next.
就是说那个大豆化，实际
对
上我想问一个问题，就是因为中国的大豆是80年代开始才从美国进口，但进口之后它有个转基因问题。
Yeah.
那在去年，中国政府以官方形式的来否决转基因的谣言，并且打压揭露这个转基因问题，就是等于说，是不是因为这个转基因的大豆，才造成了这个豆类的，就中国用的黄豆是土生土长的黄豆，
Uh-huh.
和进口的黄豆做同样的一个豆腐是得到的结果是不一样，成分是不一样的。Genetic
Yeah.
modified.
GM food, huh?
GM,
yeah. I heard
genetic
about
modified.
it. So
So the question is there a difference between GM food, GM soybean, and the original soybean?
yeah, yeah. I would always recommend the original one, not GM. But there's a lot of politics there. I don't know how to solve the problem because sometimes politics is just like milk, right? Cow's milk is politics. Forcing us to drink cow's milk is really a politics more than health.
所以这个GM 的食物啊，跟那个原来的这之间呢，不只是纯粹是一个科学化的问题，而是一个政治性的问题。
就好像喝那个牛奶是一个政治的问题，不是科学的问题了，是政治的问题。所以这个问题很难哦，除非是
相比不同。
I really don't know enough about GM, but I will caution, right? I would definitely advise you to go for original one. But I know sometimes you have no choice. But in America, we have a choice, right? America, we do have soybean from Canada, which is better. I believe a lot of tofu we get. So all in all, I would say it's still better than to eat your beef and chicken. That's for sure.
所以总的来说呢，苏燕的意思是说，他对这个方面没什么研究啦，就是说这转基因跟没转基因，但是呢，他是觉得应该是吃原来的那个版本是比较好的，但是总的来说呢，你吃那个黄豆呢，还是好过吃那些肉类啦，这样子。
That's for sure. All right, that's for sure because plant is always better. It's not perfect, but make sure you always eat your soy together with your other thing, like your fruit, your vegetables and fruits, because all these things will come together and help to get the what is the word, huh? Synergetic effect, right? They call the cumulative effect.
所以总的来说呢，我们吃好的食物，而且是多样化，这样子是会比较好。
Yeah.
I heard that omega 3, 6, and 9
Yes.
needs to be in the good ratio.
Yeah.
Not 6 more than
Correct.
the other 2.
Yeah.
And then just now I saw on the slide, like omega 3 in soy is, we have some, 8 grams, and then but then for omega 6 it has 4 point some.
Yeah.
Okay? So of course, if I guess if we eat a variety of things, then okay, I guess.
You balance out.
But then the thing is, like if I eat a lot of
豆腐。
I mean, no, using tofu as my main source of
Protein, right.
then would it create
Yeah. So,
所以这个问题就是说，如果我只只吃豆腐来得到这个蛋白质，会不会这个 omega 3, 6, 9呢？就失去平衡？
yeah. Well, Right. So here's what I would say. I agree with you. It's actually evidence-based. The ratio between 3 and 6 has to be 1 to 4. Yeah, 1 to 4. But it's very hard to get 1 to 4 ratio. You know why? Most of the omega-3 are found best in fish, right? And plant has omega-3 like soy, but not as much. So I would say make it a point to eat walnut because walnut has high omega-3. Some nuts like cashew nut has some, but not as much as walnut. Pecan has some omega-3, but not as much. So the best way to tell you without going to details is buy nuts like walnut, pecan, and cashew, and make sure you eat them together with your soy, your vegetarian food. Like I eat a lot of nuts. You know, when I make smoothie, I always put walnut because I want to make sure I have the omega-3. We don't need a lot, right? But we just need a little bit. But we get it from soy too. But it's just the balance, the ratio that you said. Yeah, but the thing is, remember when you eat soy, you eat so many other things, right? Remember we eat a variety of food? You cannot analyze it in isolation. You cannot say, oh, you eat too much soy, but we don't just eat tofu. We eat string beans, bok choy, and so many other things, mushroom. All these things, at the end of the day, will mitigate, will cancel out the effect, will protect us. So my advice to every one of you is eat a variety of fruits and vegetables every day. The quarter, half, always apply, okay? Quarter, half, always apply.
所以我们不能够单单来分析一个食物来看它的成分，因为我们吃的时候我们吃很多样的食物，
Yeah.
所以这各样的食物呢，它会抵消，
对，
互相抵消。
Then 另外一个就是 you have to look at the pattern, okay, Selena? It's not just one day's diet. So today the scientists want to look, when I evaluate your health, I look at the overall 1 month, what do you eat? 3 months, what do you eat? The study I showed you just now, they follow up these people for 5 years. That's why it's a very powerful study.
另外一个呢，
Right?
就是我们不能够说今天这一刻我的食物是什么，而是要看长期的1个月、3个月。比如说刚才所说的那个研究，5年。
5年. But the thing is,
5年你吃什么东西？
the Chinese people have been eating rice and tofu for how many years? Thousands and thousands of years, and we are fine. Our diabetes is low, our hypertension is low, our obesity is very low, right? Until we come to America and start to eat American food, right? So it's a period of time, yes. I've got from Costco, the normal one, but I also go to Asian store like Ranch 99. I'll get different type of tofu. Yeah.
OK， 所以在哪里买豆腐呢？你可以去 Costco 啊，你可以去我们中国人大华市场。
Yeah. So, any other questions?
还有其他的问题吗
But these are all good questions. Very good. Yes. Yes.
Quinoa.
Quinoa. How do I compare with what? Oh, there's just one more good thing to eat, a variety.
嗯，
Right?
所以那个
Yeah. So the question is quinoa good and how is it compared to soy? I say, remember there's no one superfood. There's so many good food. You just eat a variety. That's what God wants us to eat, a variety. So maybe today eat quinoa, tomorrow eat something else, right?
quinoa 中文叫什么？
我不知道。藜是吗？
哦，藜麦。
Yeah, it's a grain. It's a grain under the quarter half. Yeah, it's a grain. But because it has a lot of antioxidants, sometimes people consider it as a type of protein because so much, yeah. But not everybody likes it, you see. Remember, I told you the food must make you happy. If you're not happy eating it, you don't want to eat it. Yeah, so is soy. Soy is complete.
哦。
But soy is also 10 out of 10. But remember, your health is not depending on one day's diet. Your health depending on a period of time. Right? Yeah. So if you like quinoa, I say go ahead and do it once in a while. You change it up, right? I don't like quinoa. I cannot take it. But I'm fine because I eat so many other things. Yes, one more. Yeah, yeah.
What's a really good hydrator for the body? And also, what's a really good, if you're not doing the vitamins, but what food would you say is for the head, for the eyes and functions of the brain?
Oh. First question is a good hydrator? Water? No, water is always good. Drink 6 to 8 glasses, right? And then especially California, in the summer we need to drink more.
所以说到喝水呢，
Okay,
我们
that's
每
number
天
one.
都要喝超过8杯的水啊，特别
And
是
then-
在这个加州这
Yeah.
个热
And
带
then。what is the second? What is good for the eye? Okay. Oh, there's a lot of questions there. But brain, we talk about a lot of brain food, right? Just now, like your mushroom, and then your nuts are good for the brain. All kinds of nuts because they have good oil. Eyes, anything that's colorful,
如果
right?
我们
It's
吃
good for
那
the
硬
eye.
果
Colorful food like your what they call it?
Carrots,
Carrots, squash,
beets,
orange color. Oof, it's good for the eye.
OK， 说这个对头脑好的那些食物啊，就是那些硬果。硬果呢，它有油
Okay.
啊，
So
对我身体
the
很
last
好
thing I want to close up is I want all of us to be proud of who we are as the child of God.
那最重要的，我们是上帝的儿女，我们要自豪。
We must make sure whatever we eat always go back to the Bible and use the Bible as a benchmark, not the US government.
我们要用圣经呢做我们的准绳，而不是听那个美国政府的宣传
Right.。Tell your children to love the traditional food. That's why I told my daughter,
所以我们
be
要
proud
教
of who you are.
我们的孩子啊，我们要对我们中华的这个文化，我们的食物要感到自豪。
All right, let's bow down for a word of prayer.
那我们大家低头，我们做一个祷告。
Pastor, would you like to pray for us?
我们请我们的唐主任来做我们结束的祷告。
我们来祷告，天父，我们感谢赞美你，让我们再次来学习你为我们所预备的这个食物，你为我们所创造的这个世界，显明你的爱这个何等的慈爱临到我们的身上。主，让我们更加来信靠你，认识你，更加遵守你为我们所设立的这个自然的规律。主，让我们在身体上这个健康上面荣耀你的名。主，求你让我们在饮食的事情上荣耀你的名。感谢赞美主，我们众弟兄姊妹现在要分散回到自己的家中，求主保守，让我们平平安安，远离一切的危险和患难。感谢赞美主，这样祷告，奉主耶稣基督圣名。
阿门。
All right.
好，谢谢。Thank you。